Welcome to Seeing Scarlet. It's Shelby. I am here on the wee hours of November 1st, and I already have my This Is March shirt on because it's basketball season, y'all. The Lady Raiders kick off their 50th anniversary season in like 4 days, if my math is right. I don't know if that's right. Monday at 6 p.m. at the USA. Be there. And we promised you a Lady Raider preview episode, and we're going to give it to you. You'll notice that it's just me, so we couldn't make it, but a promise is a promise, so we're going to do our best to knock this out for you here. We're going to go through the roster. All the new people, there's a lot of them, but there's also some key returners that y'all know that are going to be core pieces for this team this year. We'll go through those, the new people, the incoming freshmen, and some other names maybe you do or don't remember. We'll talk about what this team did in the offseason, what they've done in these not-so-secret scrimmages that y'all keep asking about. Y'all know they happen, but how do they turn out? I'll give you some notes from those. You'll hear from Gerlich and the players directly and a few clips of them talking about the upcoming season. And then all of your submitted questions that you've sent in, I will answer as many of those as possible. A lot of them were similar, so I just kind of combined them together, and we'll cover all those topics. So that's what we're going to get into. If you're not already, please do me a favor. Hit subscribe, hit like if you want to comment. Love it, appreciate it. But let's get into it. So, who is this team? I'm as excited as you guys to find out on Monday, to be honest. I haven't seen them play in person yet either, just like y'all, but everything I've heard, it's a deeper team, the deepest team that this staff has ever had, similar to last year, which was the deepest team they had. But this one's different in the sense that what I'm gathering is it's not just deep because they have bodies that can get on the court and be D1 level players. They have players that are athletic enough and they fit the system that this staff wants to run. And I think maybe down to like 12, 13 deep that could do that realistically. So that's exciting. So when, not if, when injuries happen, because they happen in basketball, it's a physical sport, they should be able to handle that a little bit better this year. Some positions are deeper than others. Guard is very deep. So we are going to need our front court to stay as healthy as possible. But there's a lot more depth to this team. I've heard the summer workouts have been great. The best probably ever in Gerlich's tenure here. She said that herself multiple times. You're going to see a lot of players that look as fit as they've ever looked. They're stronger than they've ever been. They're faster than they've ever been. It's going to make for a team that can really go hard and work hard and play hard on defense, especially. And then on offense, they should be a lot more, I would say, balanced, less easy to guard and easy to scout because they brought in Danae Fritz, who we'll talk about, and that gives you 3 proven Big 12 guards with Jazz Shavers and Bailey Maupin, so they can't just cover those 2. They have Danae to worry about as well. And then you have people like Jordan Merritt and some others that are playing in their more natural spots because of the 5s that we brought in. So that's kind of the gist that I have taken from just hearing people that have been to practice, listening to what the players have said, listening to what the coaches have said over the last few months, and just things that people have told me. But we'll see on Monday, but that's what the gist I've gotten. I'm very excited about the potential of this team for those reasons. But here's a little fun from the head coach herself, because you can listen to me talk about it all you want. But this was her from Big 12 Media Days, and she's talking specifically about the chemistry of this team, which is very important. Y'all have heard us talk about it on Seeing Scarlet a lot. Like, that's half the battle in all sports, but certainly basketball. That when the adversity hits, you need to have a team that's close, and it sounds like this team all arrived, for the most part, very early in the summer, and so they've been together for a long time. They've gone on trips together and all those things, and they seem like they're very tight. And more importantly, from a basketball perspective, I feel like this team has a lot of personalities that are very similar this year, and you'll hear that from Coach Gerlich, and then in a clip later from Jazz Shavers in a similar manner, talking about the competitiveness and the way practice is going. So this is from Krista Gerlich. Enjoy.
Year, and I think a really special season for our team.
Yeah, as a player, you led your team to a title in '93. What are the most important factors when it comes to having a championship caliber squad?
Yeah, I think that the chemistry is huge, and I think obviously you've got to have the right pieces. You've got to be talented. You've got to have a great work ethic, but the chemistry is so important. I think we saw that this year in all of, the NCAA tournament. There was a lot of teams that were really good because of their chemistry. And I just feel like that's what we've got going at Tech, is that our team is really balanced. They are going to play really well together. They really love one another, and I think that they're really going to stick together to be able to get that championship caliber team that we want.
Amen. I love to hear that when she said that at Big 12 Media Days. That gets me excited because that's huge. And again, I think they have very similar basketball personalities too, which I think is a really big important thing, especially in the Big 12. So let's go through the roster first, and then I'll get to some of y'all's questions that y'all have been sending in over the past couple weeks. We'll start with some of the names you should know. They are returners, and we'll start with the senior in Jordan Merritt. She is a senior, a grad senior at this point. She's a former really big time recruit. You've heard us talk about her plenty on this show. And she graciously, after coming over from Florida last year as one of the big portal pickups out there, she graciously ended up playing the 5 a lot for us last year. And that's not her natural position, y'all. It's just not. So she played the 5 because we had injuries preseason that really depleted us there, and she had to. But she still ended up 6th in the Big 12 in blocks, and I think she was one of 5 players in the entire Big 12 that was in the top 25 in both blocks and steals per game, and that was while playing the 5 undersized. She's undersized. She's 6'3", but there's some 6'6", 6'5", some really big bigs in the Big 12. And she was banging around down there the best she could. But she's really more of a natural 4, maybe even a 3 at times, to be honest. She can get out and shoot it when she really gets her rhythm going. And she just never really had a chance to play Jordan Merritt basketball last year, at least not often enough. And when you saw her get to do that against teams that weren't as big, you saw really impressive Jordan Merritt games because she was able to play Jordan Merritt basketball. I think we're going to see a lot of Jordan Merritt basketball this year if she can stay healthy and stay out of foul trouble and stay on the court. That's really important. But if she can do that, I think she's going to be kind of an X factor for this team that maybe somehow people are sleeping on because just of her year last year, which was still pretty solid, but she was out of position. So here's a clip from Jordan at Big 12 Media Days. She's talking about the physicality of the Big 12 and how it differed from the SEC and what she learned from that. I thought that it was intriguing in what she said, so enjoy.
It's awesome. It's a totally different level of competition outside the SEC. They're really both great conferences, but I feel like the Big 12 it's more physical. It's a lot of, constant contact with other players, game in and game out. So just being able to have the best people on our staff to help us get stronger, faster, to be able to compete against those high-level athletes, very aggressive athletes. So just being able to level that playing field there and just allow our skills to shine through that. So it's just been a really awesome transition. I've learned a lot about myself as an individual, as a player, as a woman. So just being able to embrace that has been amazing.
Well, and I'm sure Coach would say even with contact, you got to stay out of foul trouble because she wants you on the floor, not sitting next to her.
Amen to that. Yeah. If Jordan can stay on the floor, I think we have 1 through 4 in our roster. You can put up against mostly anybody in the conference. I believe that with her out there. And then we'll talk about it there. We're pretty deep at that spot, that 3-4 spot as well. People that'll come in with her. So yeah, I'm really excited for Jordan. This is her final year. It's going to be a big one. So I can't wait to see what she does. Her little partner in crime, Jazz Shavers, Roomy Talks. Y'all have seen them interacting on social media. They're fun little duo, and they're going to be a fun duo on the court as well, just from different positions. And Jazz Shavers is a guard. Y'all know her well. Hopefully you should. She was the 9th in the entire Big 12 in scoring last year. Top 5 in the Big 12 in scoring when you go to underclassmen last year, which is impressive. So one of the top underclassmen moving in as a junior now. She averaged 15.4 points per game, also got 5 boards per game, and 1.3 steals and 1.5 assists. So she kind of did a little bit of everything. She was honorable mention All Big 12. She took a giant leap in her scoring from her freshman to her sophomore year. I believe she might have doubled it, actually. And she was at the top at some point last year. So if she didn't finish there, she finished close as far as the most improved player in the Big 12 when we're talking scoring average. The biggest jump from one year to the next was Jazz Shavers for much of the year. If she finished there, I don't know, but she finished pretty far up there for sure. So she had a huge jump, and if she takes even a similar jump, that would be crazy. But if she's just who she was last year and just a little bit better, she's gonna have more weapons around her. She might not have to have as much weight on her, which will be good. Because I think if she can bring the same energy she brings on offense to defense, that's gonna massively help this team. And if she doesn't have as much stress on her offensively, hopefully she can do that. And the most impressive thing I've heard about Jazz Shavers in the offseason doesn't necessarily have to do with their basketball, but I've heard that Jazz has been a great leader this offseason. And I'm not at practice. I haven't seen it with my own eyes. That's just coming from other people. Same thing about Bailey, who we've talked about in a minute. But Jazzy, I keep hearing that from a lot of people, and she talks about it herself in different clips that we'll play. And you saw it. If you saw her post way back in April when she kind of like did her little transition post from the end of last year to moving ahead to this year, I think the end of it said something like, let's work. And we talked about that on this show. Like, you know what, Jazzy, we love that. Let's work. And I feel like that just became the theme of the offseason for the entire team, was that one little statement. So if she started that and they carried it through, I love that, because this team is going to need to outwork people this year, especially at the top of conference. So really appreciated that. I think she's going to have a great year. But the fact that that's kind of been like the constant talking point from people that have talked to me about this team, that's come from multiple people. So I love to hear that as she's kind of transitions into that leadership role as an upperclassman. And they asked her about this at the Big 12 Media Days.
You're an upperclassman. How have you seen growth within yourself in that way?
I've seen tremendous growth. I mean, going from a young person to, like you said, an upperclassman, you have to form into that leadership role. So that's what I'm doing. And, you know, being able to do that will allow me to grow, but also allow my teammates to grow. So I've seen growth tremendously.
Coach Gerlich said that this team is bigger, it has more depth, and there's competition at every single spot for this season's roster. How do you balance growing together as a team among that competition?
I think it goes hand in hand. You have to be able to compete against one another, but knowing when you compete, you're making each other better. So, you know, when game time comes and we're competing against each other, when we step on the floor, now it's all 15 of us competing against our opponent. And so in practices, we're going head to head, but we know that we love each other. We have each other's backs. But I think that, you know, being able to compete is bringing the best out of each other every single day, and we need that.
Dang right. That gets me more fired up than anything. Let's go. That's what this team needs. They are very deep and they are very competitive, and they brought in some dogs that match that same mentality that Jazzy has, that Bailey has, that we're about to talk about. And I can imagine practices have been intense. I can imagine it, and I'm sure they're rearing to go on Monday to play somebody besides themselves, although those scrimmages went pretty well, as we'll talk about in a minute. But who else is on this team? Y'all know her, Bailey Maupin, West Texas own. She's been here for a couple of years, had a great freshman year, had a really solid sophomore season where she averaged 14.1 points per game, 12th in the Big 12 in scoring, also a sophomore and one of the top underclassmen scorers in the league. She also was 15th in the Big 12 in assists per game at 3 per game, and she was right under 5 rebounds a game. So she also kind of did it all. And most importantly, she played point guard last year because we had some injuries preseason that took out our projected starting point guard last year before the season even began. And so she kind of had to move a few weeks right before the season to point guard. She's never really played point guard at like high level competitive basketball. She's always been a shooting guard and off ball player, and she's very good at that. But she's also just a really good basketball player. So she was the best option to say, hey, go be the point guard this year. And she took that on. Like, she didn't blink and she took it on. And she had her lumps along the way, because that's a really hard thing to do in the Big 12. Is a lot of teams that play like havoc defense and they're all over you. And if you haven't played that role, it can be tough. But she had some really, really impressive games along the way. And I think that experience is only going to make her so much better this year when she gets to slide over to off ball and play more shooting guard because of Danae Fritz that came in, who we'll talk about in a minute, as a transfer. And now Bailey gets to just be Bailey a little bit more. Plus she has it in her bag, all this playmaking that she learned and experienced, and all the pressure she had on her, like literal pressure from defenders. Being the point guard, I think, is only going to make her a better player now. So I'm really excited for Bailey Maupin this year that she gets to go back to doing what she does. And also, I loved what she had to say at Big 12 Media Days, because they asked her, hey, Bailey, what'd you work on this offseason? And I'm sure she worked on a lot of different skills on the court, but she answered something more about getting stronger and faster. And if Bailey Maupin shows up on Monday in this year and she's stronger and faster than she has been, and she brings the skills and the shooting that she has, I mean, that is going to mean big things for Bailey Maupin in this season. So here you go.
Solid sophomore season. Now, as you head into year 3, what has been your focus on the floor in the off season to elevate your game?
My focus this offseason has been getting bigger, stronger, faster. Every year we have to get better. We have to get better individually. We have to get better as a team. So just getting better at those things is going to help me on the court, and I'm looking forward to this year.
Listen, like I said, if Bailey Maupin is a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, she has deceiving strength. That's it. She has like that farm kid strength. But if she's already actually getting even stronger, that's going to help her take more contact, because people did try to like beat her up a little bit last year, and she was able to handle it more times than not. But if she can really kind of give that back to people a little bit more, that's going to be fun for her, is all I'm going to say. So again, really excited for Bailey Maupin this year. She's joining Jazz Shavers, and then we're going to talk about Danae in a bit. That's going to be a fun trio of guards. One of the best backcourts in the conference if they all hit their ceilings or even near their ceilings. That it's going to be a fun trio for sure. Who else is returning this year? Who do we got on here? We'll run through the other returners real quick. We have Kyla Freelon. She's a junior now. It's crazy. All these youngins, they're not youngins anymore, y'all. They're upperclassmen. What happened? Time flies. And she averaged 7.9 points per game last year and 5.7 rebounds per game. She also was another player on this team that played out of position a lot last year because of the swath of injuries and different things that happened to our bigs during the season. And then she also, naturally, didn't get to finish her season. She had an illness pop up at the end of the year that just kept her out for the rest of the season, which was tough because she was playing well when she went out. And she's just a high energy player. She's one of the best athletes in the conference, maybe the country, to be honest. She's just a freak athlete. The girl can pretty much dunk. If you get to Lady Raider games early, you'll see Kyla like jumping up and grabbing the rim in their little pregame routine. That's Kyla Freeland. She has that in her. So if she can also stay healthy and stay on the floor, that will be big. I think her athleticism and just her energy and her relentlessness to get rebounds is really impressive sometimes. Now, if she starts to add more like shooting ability and all that, that's how she'll get more minutes. But even just her ability to go in there, play havoc defense with those long arms, that speed, her athleticism, and her ability to get rebounds in her more natural position, at least playing the 4 and maybe not the 5, will get her on the floor at times, and she could be a little bit of an X factor off the bench for this team in a role that maybe she won't have as much on her shoulders. Because again, our sophomores were kind of thrown to the wolves last year. And with this new experience, these transfers, and a hopefully healthy Jordan Merritt, she won't be kind of put in that position as much, I hope. So I'm excited to see Kyla this transition to her junior year. And a lot of sports, you've heard us talk about it, a lot of times players' junior seasons are their biggest jump. And so that would be really cool to see that from Kyla this year too. So that's Kyla. Jada Wynn, y'all saw her in the block party on Broadway. I guess that was last week or earlier this week on Monday in the 3-point shooting contest. Make it to the finals. That's Jada Wynn. She can shoot it. She dealt with a bit of a lingering injury all season last year. Basically, it kept her out of last off-season program, so she kind of started the season kind of behind a bit as far as that went. But she fought through it all year and still made an impact despite that. And she shot 38% from 3. She was a nice little energy player, especially at the end of the year in the Big 12 tournament. If y'all remember, where they played pretty well and they gave Baylor a big fight in that game and almost upset them. She was a huge piece in that, and she's a 6-foot guard. And so she can shoot it lights out, like I said, but she's also big enough that she can get in the paint and bang around and kind of box out smaller guards. She can, on offense, she can post them up even if we need her to. So she's pretty versatile in that way. And I'm excited for her to coming into this year because she's fitter and stronger and healthier than she was this time last year, because she didn't have that same type of injury that kept her out of the summer off-season program for the whole time. So I'm really excited for Jada Wynn this year. She's going to be a fun one. A fan favorite on this list, sophomore Logan Johnson, one of the most competitive players on this team. You also saw her at the block party, the Broadway block party on Monday. If you watched that, never seen a more competitive knockout player in my life. I loved it. I mean, she was blocking people out in this knockout thing. Like, I think there were fans involved, and she was not going easy on them. And I love that, Logan. That's the energy I'm here for. She was going after her own teammate. She turned it into a little bit of a one-on-one game at the end of it with Jordan Merritt, who made it to the finals with her, because she was not, I think her ball got knocked away, and she was like, no, I'm just going to not let you score here. So that's Logan Johnson. She loves defense. She's a competitive. She's a dog. She's a dog through and through. And the more she can add an outside shot to her game, the more minutes she'll get, the more impactful she'll be offensively, because she has a pretty elite, I would say, first step and ability to drive and get to the basket. We saw that kind of midway through conference last season when we really needed that influx in the lineup, they started her, and she had that about her for a few games there. And then teams kind of started to scout that, and they just kind of backed off her a little bit. And she's capable of shooting it well. You saw that at the little Broadway thing. She was shooting it well in that, but she also did it in high school. So I think with another year now, if that piece comes, that'll just make her more impactful. But her defense, her energy, her competitiveness is always going to give her a chance to stay in that rotation, even if we are deep at the guard spot. Because if you can get stops, if you can play defense, if you play hard, and you bring a little bit of that dog mentality to the team, Coach Gerlich is going to find a way to get you on the floor, because you're going to need that in the Big 12. So she's going to find her way out there if she does those things. And I'm excited to watch Logan take that jump from her freshman to her sophomore season. So that's Logan Johnson. Know the name if you don't already. She'll be a fun piece as a sophomore. And one more returner, Kelly Mora, Lubbock's own Kelly Mora. She's from Lubbock, played at Monterey. She's a sophomore now, and she's also someone that's taking great advantage of the off-season program. I've heard that she had a really great off-season, a really great summer workout program, and then she's coming into the season ready to contribute whenever her name is called, if it's called, when it's called. She's ready to step in there and do work this year, and hopefully be able to kind of play more in system this year with what they want to do when that time comes. She's going to add great depth to that front court if we need her to. Hopefully we don't have all the major injuries like last year, but Kelly is a lot better passer than you'll see for most. I would call her a 4 is probably what we try to play her at, maybe a 5, undersized 5, but she can pass it really well. She's probably one of the best pure passers on the team, at least from what I saw in game. Obviously, we're not at practice, but she had some really great flashes of passing last year. One to Logan Johnson that turned into like a spin cycle 3 on a back cut. That was fun. She's also shown the ability to shoot from the outside last year. Late in the year, she got some playing time because we were really hurting as far as injuries, and we had to throw the poor freshman out there to the wolves against a really big TCU team. And Kelly held her own, and she got some shots, and I think she played well. Maybe it was Texas or some other people late in the year. So she'll be there if we need her depth-wise. And I'm just really proud of her and excited for her, because I heard a lot of great things about her in the offseason this year. So you always love to hear a player that's like taking advantage of the opportunity and really putting the work in. And we'll see what her role will be this year, but she's a hard-nosed rebounder, like I said, a good passer, and she'll be ready if her name's called. So that's another local Lubbock player. There's a couple of them on this team this year, so that's cool. And to transition from there into the new faces. So y'all have heard us talk about a lot of these transfers. We did whole episodes on them from like April to early June when they were all being signed. So I'll quickly go through each of them, but if you want full episodes on these, just go back on our YouTube channel, and each of these players that we're about to talk about have like 30-minute episodes just about them. But we'll talk about them right now. So we'll start with Jalen Bristow. Miss Loyal to the Soil, tagline, trademark Jalen. She's from Holiday, Texas, originally went to Iowa State out of high school, a former top 50 recruit in the entire country. Believe she was like Miss Texas basketball, one of those. We have a lot of those on this team. Went up to Iowa State, played pretty well for them as a freshman, was on a team that made it to the Sweet 16. She had a career high in rebounds in their second round NCAA tournament game against number 4 Stanford. We have a clip of that. And she was asked to step in for an injured player, and she had one of her best games of her career. She played in 33 games for them last year with 2 starts, 5.1 points per game, 3.7 rebounds per game, and 15 minutes played per game. She has star potential by the time she graduates. She'll be a key part of this team. She might start some games, but we'll see. It doesn't really matter who starts on this team or who doesn't. I think she'll be a key spark off the bench. She'll play a lot of minutes either way. She could shoot it better than people realize. Like, she's a 4, but I think maybe she wants to be a 3, and I think that's what she's capable of. We might play her as a 3. I don't know. Those numbers, I don't really care what they are. People like those numbers. You can follow them, but she's going to be a player that can get on the outside, shoot the 3. She can get down, get rebounds. She's very long. She's very fast. She's very quick. She can play defense because of that. And she has a competitive drive that matches a lot of players on this team. But here's a little video of her from different games along the way.
my friend.
This is her in that game I talked about at Stanford. She's bottom. She tips that ball right there to create that steal. You'll notice this is an overtime. Huge big time moment for a freshman. She's in that far side corner right now. This play isn't going to her, but she stays ready. She gets down there, boxes that girl out ready for the ball, doesn't get it, but now she goes and gets a clutch rebound to tie up the game in overtime in the NCAA tournament. That's a freshman, y'all, against number 4 in the country. This is her right over someone named Caitlin Clark. I don't know if you ever heard of that girl, but she knocked a 3 down over here. That's always fun, and that's her playing defense. She can pick the pocket, take it full court, and put it in like that. She's versatile. Or if we're gonna press, she'll be a menace at the top of the press, similar to what Jordan plays that role. That's a great person for her to learn from. But they bring a little bit different stuff to the game as well. So Jalen's going to be a star. I've heard that her goal before she graduates is to dunk it. So I hope that's a true thing that I've been told. So that she does have that athleticism in her. We'll see if she gets there by the time she graduates. But that's a fun goal to hear. So she's been working hard in the weight room for that. So Jalen Bristow, know the name, transfer from Iowa State. We went after her hard in high school, just missed out on her, but she got here eventually. She knew where she wanted to be when she hit that portal, and we're very, very excited to have her. A 6-foot guard, forward guard, sophomore, true sophomore. Next on the list, if you watch Seeing Scarlet, you've heard us talk about Danae Fritz. I've already talked about her in this episode. She is also a former Iowa State Cyclone. 2 years ago, as a freshman, she was all Big 12 freshman team then, former Miss Tennessee basketball, and she also played at Baylor this past season. So she's played for 2 different Big 12 teams. She didn't have like a major role at Baylor. They were pretty heavy on the guards. It just didn't go the way she wanted to there, but she is a very, very, very talented player, and we're very lucky to have her on the team. She brings that dog mentality we talked about with Logan, like Danae has that, to the max. She has just an it factor about her when you watch her play that I think fits in so well with Jazzy, with Bailey, with our other guards that have that too. And instead of maybe sometimes that personality can butt heads with people, I think for the most part on this team, that personality fits in with the players that we have, and that'll just like shoot them all to the top. And so I'm really excited for her leadership. I don't know that it's going to be vocal or whatever, but just the way that she plays, I think is going to be something that drives this team. This team's not going to show up soft ever with Danae Fritz on it. She'll likely also be our point guard, at least in label. She'll be a primary ball handler for this team, a role that I don't think she's really had in college yet. She kind of plays wherever you need her, and both teams that she's been on have sometimes even put her down as the 4 because she's a 5'11 guard, and she's a really good defender, and so people have just kind of put her where they need her. But she is a guard at heart, and she can dribble the ball. She's a good little playmaker in the moments. You'll see it in these videos that we have of her. And she can really get to the bucket. She can finish through contact. She can shoot from the outside. I mean, that's a great little move on the inside there. She's just a hooper. Danae Fritz is a hooper. She's tough. She's gritty. She's not going to take any ish from anybody. She plays with swagger. Like, Texas Tech fans are going to love watching Danae Fritz play basketball. I'm very excited that she is a Red Raider, Lady Raider. I mean, look at that contact. This is just last year when she was at Baylor against one of the top teams in the country in Kansas State. She can shoot it from the outside. She's been working on that even more this year. I've heard she lives in the gym. She has lived in the gym all summer. You love to hear that about a player. She can shoot it off the dribble. Ain't too shabby. We'll take that. She's been a little off the screen action. Get it back. She can pass it. That'll be a little bit of a point guard preview. Again, we're all going to get to see that together. She rebounds it really well. This is her in transition really under control. You'll see just a really good basketball player. That's what Danae Fritz is, and I can't wait to watch her play as a Lady Raider. She just goes about it the right way, and yeah, fans are going to love watching Danae Fritz. I think she'll be a fan favorite for sure. She just has it. She has that it factor that you can't really teach. I can't really explain it if you don't watch her play a lot, but fans that remember her from a couple of years ago, she gave us fits when she was at Iowa State. She's this hard-nosed rebounder, playmaker, hooper. That's Danae Fritz right there. So Y'all will love her. 5'11" guard, redshirt junior. So we get 2 years of this. So excited for her to get this opportunity. I know she's going to seize it. So that's Danae. Next on the list, Miss Adley Blacklock. Lubbock's own Adley Blacklock. Y'all seen her in a lot of videos they're posting. She seems to be a character, has great energy when you watch her play, so that doesn't surprise me that she's a character as well. She's an Oregon State transfer. Again, she's from Lubbock originally. She won a couple of state titles at Lubbock Trinity, and then she went to Lubbock Cooper as well for her senior year, and she was all state. So she's been there, done that. Dropped 50 points in a high school playoff game. She's kind of a legend around Lubbock for that. So that's Adley. She can shoot. She's another 6-foot guard. Kind of a similar role as Jada, perhaps, on this team. They have differences, but they're both those outside shooters that can get inside and finish over smaller guards or even post players as well. They're just tough, hard-nosed players. Adley brings a little bit of energy, though, that's just unmatched for anybody. Like, she just is special in that way. She just has that electricity about her, her celebrations, and what she brings to the game, I think, is going to help bring energy both at home, but also most importantly on the road when you kind of have to create your own energy. Adley's going to be that player. I think there's going to be games where she goes in there, maybe she drops 16 and she leads the team in scoring. She wins it because she gets hot from the three. There's also going to be games where she goes in and takes a huge charge, and that charge ignites the entire game, and we rally around that, and that's why we win. Like, that's the kind of player that you're getting in Adley Blacklock. Like, look at this right here. She makes that layup. What did I just say about a charge? Watch her. She runs all the way down the floor. This is all one play. Gets in front of one of their best players right here and takes the charge against a 4. And look at that arena just erupt. Like, that's what's going to be happening at the USA. That's who Adley Blacklock is right there. This is also who she is. Yeah, maybe if I can, I don't know if you can hear this.
Throws it away.
Listen to the crowd.
Blacklock.
Place goes crazy. When she makes threes, the USA is going to erupt, because how can you not with that energy? Like, that's what Adley brings to the game, is that right there. Her celebrations, her energy, her excitement. And I'm sure a really, really big fan club at every game, because, again, she's a Lubbock native. So that is the last of our guards, I believe. Oh, no, just kidding. We have one more guard. Ivana Krana. I probably just butchered that. I apologize, Ivana. I'm going to hear it in the games, and I'm going to have it down for, like, week 2, I promise, of the season. I just need to hear it a couple of times. But she is a JUCO All-American from Odessa College, 5'11" point guard. She'll be a good depth piece for us this year. She'll play. I'm sure she'll get her chances to get in there. Again, she's a good little player. She plays good defense. Sorry, my computer's glitching. But yeah, no, she plays good defense. She has long arms. She comes from a system at Odessa that presses and runs and does all the things, right? So she's going to be familiar with the system that we play here. Her outside shot, I think, is what needs to improve. Maybe it has over the summer. Again, we haven't seen her play yet, but I think that's what, when you watched her play in junior college, is the thing that to make that next leap and get like a lot of minutes at this level. She'll have to get better at that, just because spacing wise, if not, they can sag off and all those things, and that takes away what she does really well, which is she also has a good first step, and she's really good at like pull-up J's. She can get to her spot, pull up and hit a jumper. She might be our best player at that, to be honest, that I've seen. We'll see. Jazzy's pretty good at it. What am I saying? But Ivana has that in her bag as well. She's really good at the mid-range game, and she can shoot those kind of at will. And another important factor is not just her defense, but if she's in the game, shot clock's running down. She was kind of her for that team. And this is a junior college team that I believe made the Elite 8. And if it was late in the shot clock or whatever, like, they were turning around and handing it to her. And so she's been in that role before. She's not going to be afraid to go get her shot or shoot it if the clock's running down, because she came from that different level, but she was still that person, And so I'm hopeful that if she ends up in that moment, the stage won't be too like bright or too scary for her. And that's important as well. But yeah, defensively, she's got long arms, and she's big for a guard, listed at 5'11". Wouldn't be surprised maybe she's eking up there on 6 foot. Former JUCO All-American. She's very fast, and she'll get after people. And I've heard she has a great work ethic. And any players like that are just going to keep getting better, and they're going to force the coach to find a way to put them on the court if they keep winning those minutes. And I'm really excited to see her, especially early in the year, where she might really get to shine. So, and if we get in foul trouble, we're deep at guard, but like we get in foul trouble this year, or someone gets injured, again, I can't predict that, but it happens every year, not just for us, around the country. Like, we have a lot of more depth at the guard spot now, and Vaughn will be like, okay, bet, I'm ready to go. So don't be surprised if you see her out there. I'm excited to see what she can do. Also, she didn't come alone from Odessa. We have, I don't know if I have any video of her. Let's see if I do. Oh, I do. Look at this. Sorry, guys. This is someone else that came over from Odessa College, Sarah Seringbe. She's originally from France. She's in the middle of the court. They're one running, sprinting. She's a 6'4" center for us. She can block shots. She can run. She's pretty raw, but she can do that. She can block shots. She can run the floor, and she can shoot. I mean, she can finish. She doesn't leave the paint very often. She'll just be in the paint, and she'll get rebounds, and she'll finish. She'll block shots. She'll start the break. She'll run the floor, and she'll play really hard-nosed defense down low for you. She's not super big, but she's strong enough to handle some bumps and bruises, but she'll be more of that big that comes in the game and just runs. And she'll allow us to play the pace we want to. She comes again from a system that's press. She's used to that. She'll be fun in that as well to get to see her. I'm really excited about her ceiling. I don't know that we know what her ceiling is because she's so raw, and she kind of like got into basketball, I think, later in life. She was a tennis player and all these things. She has a really fun story. Go listen to our like full-length episode on her. She was a late pickup for us, very late in the spring season. She was our last transfer that we picked up, but she's very good and very athletic. I think her thing's going to be has to stay out of foul trouble. That's usually the biggest issue when you make that jump, whether you're coming from high school to the D1 Power 5 level, or if you're coming from junior college up as well, just because the athletes are going to be more similar to you and the speed of the game thing. But if she can really make that jump, and then also she arrived a little bit late to Lubbock, because, again, she's from France originally, and there were some visa issues and all those things, and so she unfortunately wasn't here the whole summer like the rest of the team, and so it might take her a little bit longer to, like, get used to Gerlich's system and the offense and all that, but the quicker she can assimilate, she's going to be fun. She could even start, to be honest. It just depends what way they want to go with her, or the other center that we brought in, because we have two really true ones this year, and her and Maya Pete, who's a 6'6" center. Very different players. She brings more of that physicality that can just own the paint. Like, not getting past her. You can't back her down. She's going to get the rebound. She's going to block you out and do that. Now, she's not going to be the rim runner. That's Sarah. But Maya's more of, like, truly going to get in there and bang around with folks and be able to hang tough with the Iowa State has a really Aoka Lee and not Iowa State. Kansas State has Aoka Lee, and Iowa State has Audie Crooks, and Baylor just got Vonleh, I think, from Colorado, and there's some really talented bigs in this league that will just kind of beat you up. Even I'm blanking on her name, but played for Oklahoma State last year and gave us fits. She's now over at UCF, so she's in the conference, just at a different team.
All the players.
Maya's gonna be able to do that for you. You'll see her in the middle in the paint right there. Just stay steady, block her shot. She'll be there for you. She comes from a football background. Her brother Andres Pete plays in the NFL. She has multiple siblings that have played college basketball, those sisters and brothers. Her brother, I think, is like the top recruit coming out of high school next year in basketball. She's from a very athletic family. You can see that in her footwork and the way she plays. She's going to be a big that I think is a little more mobile, catches the ball a little bit better than we've had in the past. At that position, no, she's not going to be sprinting up the floor like Sarah. But for someone at 6'6" and that has her size and her ability to just kind of really bang around and get with, like, really beat up on people down low, to also be able to do this, she's chasing around a guard right now, and one of the best in the country in Sailor Poffenberger, and she holds her own and makes her take a really tough shot. Like, that's going to be important for her as well. So I will see which direction we go as far as who gets the minutes where. And who's ready for the moment. But again, if she can stay healthy and she's ready to go at the beginning of the season, she'll probably be our starter if she's healthy and ready to go. But we'll see. she's going to be another fun one that gives us minutes to probably just share the position, and just depends on the flow of the game and which way we want to go. And then also foul trouble. That's just a common theme at the 5. There might be nights where we go small and maybe you're having some other people play the 5, but I think our plan is Maya Pete or Sarah Sarang Bates to be more of the 5 players this year, and to allow Jordan and Jalen and Kyla to be more 4s and 3s. So that is those. And then there's a couple of more people, just to wrap this up, that they're new maybe, but they've been around the program. You've seen their faces. And Achal Magat, who is a redshirt freshman this year, she redshirted last year, so she was on the bench. You saw her, 6'7" center. She was a pretty good prospect coming out of high school, kind of a developmental project, and then she tore her ACL, and that's what really set her back. But I've heard she's worked really hard this offseason to try to get kind of up to speed and up to conditioning to be able to play in our system, and I've heard that she's really working hard, and I love to hear that from her. I don't know how much we're going to plan to rely on her this year, because you have someone like Maya in a similar role, and Maya's a senior and has that experience, but that'll be a good person for her to learn from and to just keep getting better throughout the year. But you'll probably see her get into games at some point, but she's kind of like a developmental project, but I've heard that she's been putting in the work, so you appreciate that. And then also we have a true freshman on the team, Callista Bird Martin. She goes by Bird Martin, fun little nickname. A 6'2" guard. Yep, she is a guard, but she is 6'2", very long. Her arms, everything about her is long. You know, she's rangy, she's fast. She's a true freshman, only 17, graduated high school early, enrolled with the team when she was like 16, I believe. In January, she didn't turn 17 until a few months on campus. So she's been on the bench. You've probably seen her around, but again, this is her first season to be eligible to play. She can shoot it. She can really, when she gets hot, she can really be a good shooter for this team. She's going to be a good defender again because of her size at the guard position. 6'2" is just a big guard. I think she even played 5 at points in high school. We're not going to put her there at the 5, but she has that experience. She'd be like running point on offense, and then she'd be playing the 5 on defense in high school because she was just that level of an athlete. And so that's part of why she went ahead and came to college early as well, so she could get around athletes that were similar to her, and she's been able to practice with the team and develop. I do believe she had an off season, like some sort of injury in the off season that kept her out of a lot of the off season workouts, but she was around for fall camp, and so I've heard that she's been flashing in practice, and that's exciting. Again, I don't know, and this is a good thing, I don't know that we necessarily need Bird Martin to have a major role this year because we're so deep at the guard position, which is crazy to say. Someone of her talent is not someone that, oh my God, we're going to need her to play 30 minutes a game. Like, it's great that we've reached this point as a program, that we don't have to throw our freshmen to the wolves, but if we ever need a spark, or if she keeps flashing in practice to earn those minutes, I'm sure she'll get her opportunities, but she's going to be an impact player for this program if she develops the way her potential says she will by the time she graduates. But next year, maybe this year. You never say never. I don't know what's going to happen. Like, that would be awesome if that happens. But we do have the luxury of having a lot of good guards ahead of her that she can learn from and not have the weight of the world on her shoulders as a freshman. So I think she'll be a player that, hey, some games maybe, man, ball is just not falling. Hey, Bird, get out there and see if you can spark something. You know what I mean? Because she has that shot, that length to her, and she can really handle the ball. She has really good handles. I heard last year in practice at times she had the best handles on the team as a 17-year-old 6'2" guard. Like, she was saucing folks up. So I'm excited to see her play when she's ready to go. Again, I think she's been participating in fall camp from what I understand. But we don't know anything, just like you guys, until we see them play. I would expect, it's normal for the season to open up and there'll be some, a little bit of dings and stuff there. So until you get into like the second or so week of the season, you really never know what's going on because fall camp can get really competitive and there can be some bumps and bruises along the way. And so we'll just see who is and isn't available when we get there next week. But that's kind of the gist of the players overall. Hopefully that helps you guys, gives you the rundown, and we'll wrap this up with a few fan questions that we haven't covered. Let's see, go through the list. Any word on how the scrimmages have gone? Sure. So they beat Texas A&M Commerce a few weeks ago. That was on the road, I think in Dallas. They played, or wherever that team is. They beat them like you should beat Texas A&M Commerce, I think by 30 or so. I think I heard Bristow maybe let Lettleman scoring. Jazzy was right there. Maya had a good game in that one, as you should. Someone of her stature against Texas A&M Commerce should be eating on the boards and being able to put it back. I'm sure she was. So that was a nice first test, but it's Texas A&M Commerce. But they did what you're supposed to do against them, and then they actually traveled to UTEP last weekend. So they went all the way to El Paso as a team, made a stop in New Mexico at the sand dunes, a little team bonding trip. It looked very fun. Jealous. And they had a good time, both at the sand dunes and on the basketball court. Reportedly, if you want to believe the super secret spies that told me this, we won that game by 50 plus points. And UTEP historically is not a terrible team. Like, historically, they've played us pretty close when we've played them in non-con or played them a couple years in the WNIT. They're usually a pretty decent program, mid-major program. Don't know what they have going on this year or don't, but 50 plus means I'm thinking our shots were falling. We were playing fast and we were playing free because we had 80-something points in that game. So a lot of different guards scored in double figures in that game. Everybody got a chance to shine, it sounds like, and it sounded like they're having a lot of fun. So that's all I'll share because they wanted to keep those quiet, I guess, and if the team didn't put it out there, but that's what I picked up from folks that were there or heard about them along the way. So they won both of them, and they won them both handily. What that means, well, I don't know. We'll find out on Monday, but it's never a bad sign to hear that those things went well. So that's the first question. Let's see. Projected, who do you think is the projected starting five? If I had to guess right now, I feel pretty comfortable saying it'll be Danae Fritz, Bailey Maupin, Jazz Shavers, and then, depending on health and availability, either Maya Pete or Sarah Seringbe at the 5. That's my guess for the starting 5 on Monday. And then you have so many people that are going to play. Like, I don't know the starters, and that's a cliche, but I don't really think the starters matter on this team, other than what is your best 5 to get off to the best start and to, control the game from the start. And there's so many good energy players and really talented starter level players that will be coming off the bench on this team, which is what you need. You need that to be able to make a tournament run. So as long as the chemistry really is as good as they say, and that all that, and no one really cares about minutes or anything, that's a good thing, because this team's gonna at times want to play fast, and you need that energy and a lot of people to play. But that'd be my guess: is Danae Fritz, Bailey Maupin, Jazz Shavers, Jordan Merritt, and then Maya Pete or Sarah at the 5. Be my guess for Monday. We'll see. Is this a tournament team? That's what we all want to know. I believe it is. I believe that on paper, this team has the talent. I do think the Big 12 is tougher than it was last year, even losing the 2 teams we did in Texas and OU, who are really high at the top of the conference. Certainly, those are great teams, and those are losses as far as net and all that go. But if you look at the teams that came over from the Pac-12, there's 4 of them. 3 of those were in the NCAA tournament last year. So you lost 2 teams that went to the NCAA tournament last year. You gained 3 that went to the NCAA tournament last year. So in the end, you're +1. You have 1 more team in the conference than last year that made the tourney. And so that's why I think we're preseason ranked 10. That's exactly where I thought we were going to be preseason ranked, because you have 8 teams in this conference that were in the tournament last year, plus TCU, who added star power, and if they stay healthy, which is always a question for their players, like, they have a lot of talent, so wasn't shocked they were ahead of us, and then that puts us at 10. So there's a world that the Big 12 gets 10 teams in the tournament this year, if everyone plays well in the non-con and the net's that high, because there's only 4 power conferences now. There's going to have to be more from each conference, right? So that's not a bad place to start, kind of right on the bubble to start the season, is what I would say. And I think this team has the opportunity to surprise people and finish a lot higher than that if they truly, truly buy in and play the way that they're talking and the way that they're excited to play, and everyone kind of plays their potential, and most of all, they play together. I'm really excited about this team in a way I haven't been excited about this program in a while. Like, last year I was excited just because of the new. Like, this year, I don't know. Last year I was like, if we can just go 500 in conference, maybe. This year I think they have the potential to do a little bit better than that. But we'll see how it goes. Obviously, health needs to be on their side. But yeah, I think you have reason to be optimistic that they have the talent there to get it done. Quickly, 2 more questions. Toughest non-contest. I would have to go with, I believe Florida State was ranked in the first preseason rankings, number 19. I could be wrong on that, but I think I saw that. We play Florida State on the road or at a neutral spot in the Paradise Jam, set in the Bahamas, wherever that is, at the Paradise Jam over Thanksgiving, I believe. So that's going to be a top 25 test if they're still ranked by then. We also play Gonzaga in that same tournament. They were in the Sweet 16 last year. Historically, a pretty good mid-major program. They did lose a lot from last year, but they're just historically a pretty solid team, so that's also going to be a good one. Overall, in the non-con, I think we play 3 Power 5 teams. So we play at Arkansas at some point. We play at SMU, who is a power conference team. they're in the ACC. Remind yourself. And then we play FSU as well. And then we play Gonzaga away. And then we have Washington State, who's I don't know, technically a mid-major now in the left behind Pac-12. But they're coming to Lubbock that's early in the season. I think this is the 4th game of the year, so just a couple of weeks away. We'll play Washington State at home, and so that might be our first chance to really barometer this team. But I'm excited for that. So yeah, the non-con's really good this year, comparatively, and it'll put us in a good spot with the net, which is what you need. So that's exciting. Last question. I think we kind of covered this already, but sleeper player to watch. This whole team is kind of a sleeper team, so that's call that a cop out, but I think a lot of people are sleeping on this team in general, and they don't really know what to expect from this team because it's a lot of players looking to prove things, and not a single player on this team was actually picked for a preseason All Big 12 honor, and I think there's a few of them that could be that. So I would say Jordan Merritt, if you want to say sleeper, just because if she can stay healthy, maybe she can finally reach that ceiling as a player, whatever that is for her. But she does have all conference potential in her if she really can stay healthy and play throughout the whole season. She's just that, and she gets her shot going, and just playing her in a more natural spot. Jordan, Jalen Bristow, she's only a sophomore, so again, luxury. We shouldn't have to throw the weight of the world on her like we did our sophomores last year because of the depth and the older players on this team. But I do think she's going to be a star eventually, and if that starts this year, certainly her could be a sleeper. And then who else? Danae Fritz. If you're sleeping on Danae Fritz, you're probably having nightmares while you're asleep because you remember what she did at Iowa State against us. So if you're sleeping on her for some reason, don't. I think she'll be a gritty player that maybe some nights she leads us in scoring, but other than that, she just leads us in just dog points if they're going to track that. She's going to be a fun player. So yeah, those. But yeah, a lot of people on this team could fit that category. But yeah, that's what I would answer for that. And the rest of these questions, I kind of answered already, so I think I'll leave it there on that. But hopefully that gives you a good roundup, a good preview of the 50th anniversary season for the Lady Raiders, y'all. Starts in 3 days. Oh my goodness. Get your tickets if you haven't. Get your season tickets if you don't have them. It's going to be a really fun season. I'm really hopeful that it starts off well on Monday. They just play as well as they've been doing in these secret scrimmages. It'll be fun. But in Incarnate, where it's not a bad program, they've given us good games in the past, but hopefully we have fun out there on Monday and get it going. Hopefully they're as healthy as possible and they put on a good show for y'all. So appreciate you watching. Follow, subscribe, tell your friends. And until next time, rack 'em.